And you're from California.
Yep.
You work for Disney, company well known for products for broad family kids. A lot of people say that electronic dance music is, as you mentioned, it's getting produced by young DJs. Danny Avila is 17 years old, and it appeals a lot to young people because it sounds, and research and psychologists are saying that it's an easier way to appreciate the music. So from your background with the kids industry, can you tell us if you see any parallels to be drawn with EDM?
Yeah, I mean, I think the genre definitely skews younger. I think that if you look at most events, there's a heavy teen influence. This is sort of the new age rock and roll, if you will. So I think that, in terms of, and as we talked about, the ease of breaking in is quite low compared to other genres. In terms of how that relates to, I guess, is your question more of how does it relate to marketing the product, or? Yeah, I mean, I think it's tricky, right? Because a lot of these events, while they do skew younger, it's, you don't want it to be almost too young, right? You want to have some sort of thresholds in terms of your audience base, just given that a lot of these events are essentially giant parties. So I think that there's a balance needed between, your youngest fans might be your biggest supporters, but also, making sure that it's sort of age appropriate. The music itself is not, I guess the music itself is not really controversial, but I think that there is still a sort of party culture around how it's presented. So I think from that standpoint, just being conscious of who's coming to these events and making sure that it's not potentially skewed too young.
Yes, if we look at the community a few years ago, parents would have been worried to know that their kids was going to a rave. Right now we see a change in the industry. It's getting mainstream. My question to you is, we're back in 1991, you have punk music, went mainstream, lost kind of that broad appeal to the original culture, almost disappeared. Same thing with rap, and at some point with other types of music. Right now, all companies the big ones are investing in EDM. Do you fear that this might happen to electronic dance music as it's becoming mainstream? Is this going to be gone in 5 years?
It's a really interesting question, because I think right now we're sort of still on the rise of maybe at the peak. So it's hard to say, but I think that the difference with this genre is that there's really, I think, more potential in terms of the type of music you can make. So defining EDM as a genre is very tough, because there's so many subgenres within that. So there's the more accessible pop stuff that David Guetta makes. There's trance, which is a whole genre in of itself. You have stuff like Skrillex, who's sort of pushing the dubstep community further. So I think because EDM is such a broad umbrella, you have all these different subgenres that are have more potential to be creative or experiment with, because there's not really a traditional notion of this is how a song should listen, right? If you listen to a pop song, right, there's a typical cadence to how the track works. With EDM, I think you're seeing some genres like progressive house, which follow sort of that build the beat, drop that people I think are becoming familiar with. So I think, if anything, that genre might decline in popularity as people get too saturated by it. But I also think that you have all these other genres where the experimentation form is a lot broader. So I think that gives the genre itself more limitless possibility.